Joining Carol is my friend, board colleague, and someone I truly admire, Steve King. He's chairman of the board and CEO of Dave & Buster's since 2006, where he has successfully repositioned the brand as the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports. He's created and executed a strategic plan for accelerated growth, took Dave & Buster's public in October 2014, trading on the NASDAQ under the symbol PLAY, and it's up by several 100%. Expanded to more than 100 locations, becoming the largest operator of high-volume entertainment and dining facilities across the United States and Canada. Under Steve's leadership, Dave & Buster's success stories serves as a model for casinos, for all of us, casinos and suppliers to innovate and think different. Man, we need to think different as we expand into the integrated resort business.
How are you?
Good.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning?
You know, content was really important, and that we continued despite the fact that we had, let's say, some significant financial pressure based on the amount of debt that we had at the time, not unlike a lot of private equity firms. But we continued to buy content because we believed that that content was really important. If you walked into one of the legacy stores from Dave & Buster's in 2010, you'd probably see somewhere between a dozen and 16 billiards tables as the first thing that you walked into. And you know, I describe that as really low energy and really low revenue, by the way, way to deploy space.
That's a bad combination, low energy and low revenue. Do not want to go there.
Exactly. So we thought there was an opportunity to create something that was much more relevant to our target. And we do have a dual target, and we can talk about that a little later. But we decided to go and go ahead and do some really comprehensive remodels. So we changed everything. We changed the menus, we changed uniforms, we changed the physical plan. And really the physical plan was probably the big unlock for us. So we remodeled the spaces, we made them look much more contemporary. And then we took that billiards area and made it into what we really copied from Vegas, which we tried to make it look like a Vegas sports book. And you know, that transformation of taking that really low energy sports or billiards and changing it into a sports book really helped us to transform the brand and make it much more relevant to that target audience. So we view the integrated experience as being critical to the success of the brand. Over the course of time, there have been lots of, I'll call them, you know, kind of straight up arcades that have really failed. So we think about it less in terms of the profitability side and more in terms of either the revenue or the time split. Right now, when guests come to Dave & Buster's, they spend about half their time on the gaming side and about half the time in food and beverage or watching games. And we think that's a healthy mix, that, you know, that having both those opportunities is really important, and having the ability to do everything under one roof without having to go and dine someplace first or go someplace after is an important feature of Dave & Buster's. So people are interested in new content, clearly. New is, you know, kind of what they want to see. And then I think the second thing, and I've also, you know, kind of observed this out here, is they want to see things that are not what they can do at home. So as we think about content, we're always thinking about, okay, what has to flash through somebody's mind is, I think that's interesting, and I couldn't have that in my living room. We had the ability, to, you know, fortunately, to have multiple channels that we could invest in. So we could invest in new stores, that had the highest return. We could invest in remodels, and that had the second highest return for us. And then we could invest in content, and content didn't necessarily have a very measurable return. But I would also say critically important to the brand's success. So somehow you got to balance, you know, that critical investment in changing content and evolving content against, you know, some of those higher investments. People are willing to game all the time, everywhere. What distinguishes us? So again, it's the size, scale, and then I would add on the social aspect of it. but we're trying to get them the right message, right time. And again, that's about new news and new content with an immediate reason to visit. Once they're in store, we're trying to bridge them over between the various elements of what we're offering. So if they're primarily a gamer, we're trying to get them to move over to the food and beverage side and vice versa. And so we've got various ways that we try to sell that experience to our guests. The difference between millennials and Gen Z or whatever, and it's interesting, the Gen Zers are a little bit less outgoing, sort of loud. They're a little more chill than what some of their older counterparts are. So it'll be interesting to see how people deal with that. But there's a whole nother element of entertainment that's coming out there, which is really kind of bars and restaurants that are all about just different chill activities, whether it's bocce or it's kind of cornhole or things like that. And some of them are garnering some real success. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not we can kind of bring that into the Dave & Buster's brand in some way. I really think the future in terms of being able to maintain your differentiation is, for us, going to be more in the proprietary exclusive games than it is going to be in the games that everybody can buy.